We are smarter when we listen to black women. Not because all black women are right, but because all black women deserve to be heard.
The main theme is trusting black women, but how do we get ourselves as men fixed to be able to love them the way they need to be loved?
How do y'all think about safety outside of just I'm the protector? You know what I'm saying? How do we build that?
Patriarchy is not good. The system of domination for women is not good. But a lot of us buy into that.
So I got a question I want to ask you.
These are all things that don't allow women to come and open up to us because we are ready to play football every goddamn time.
That's how I'm gonna make my wife feel safe. She wants to know that in any conversation, I ain't gonna just be like, all right, I gotta go outside and smoke real quick. Like, she wants to feel safe.
You can't be a natural protector. You are the one that's causing harm.
A lot of men don't got shit to contribute. If you can't even commit marriage to a motherfucking woman, what makes you think that she wants to commit to having a baby?
The reward for being disciplined is the outcome of what makes men so great and what makes men be able to understand.
I think we on to something here. I think we on to something.
All right, so we rolling. So this the thing. We done came together. We done been brought together. We got SisterSong. SisterSong is the homies, and they are doing some revolutionary work. I mean, 2025, let's just be real, has been full of some weird shit, some fuck shit. It's been just some strange shit this year, and black people being attacked left and right, our stories, our educational institutions, our safe places, and our power. And that's my thing, I got an organization called Build Power. So I'm really about power, and it's from the legacy of the Black Power movement. And I don't think you can get any closer to power than the person who birthed it.
Right.
Yes. The black woman, right?
Yes.
A lot of the time, it's black men that stand in the way of it, right? That get in the way of, what we're supposed to be empowering, what we're supposed to be collaborating with. And so when we're thinking about things like, SisterSong is steeped in reproductive justice. And when we talk about reproductive justice, it's the human right for bodily autonomy. Now, here's the thing. I get into all the academic terms and then I get confused. So we're going to get into it for real about what this means to us, what the human right to bodily autonomy, the human right to have kids, to not have kids, to parent kids in a healthy environment, to set up that environment, and what goes into that actually means to us. And I want to make sure that, the way we're talking about it, other people can understand it, because I know for a fact, if people came to me however many years ago and was like, hey, what you think about reproductive justice? I would have a very confused look on my face. And I'm like, I don't know exactly what that means and how we engage with it, but everybody here comes from a different perspective, a different life, different experiences, and we want to bring that to this conversation. So I know that there's no way to get there without the empowerment of black women and centering black women in that power talk, in that power struggle, in that power strategy, in that movement, in our behavior. And what in y'all's eyes does that mean to you? Like, from y'all's experience, what's your connection to or experience with reproductive justice, and what does that actually mean to you? Anybody should kick in.
As a father, you fall deeply in love with parenting, right? And what that means, and understanding the responsibility that it takes. But you also learn, as a father, the mother ends up doing so much more than what you can offer sometimes, and it's just facts. You don't have breasts to feed this baby. You don't have the kind of just natural intellect to kind of carry things. That's why a lot of fathers just say, here you go, I don't know what to do, right? So I think, for one, it's just accepting that, understanding that you are there to help produce and provide, but then there's gonna be so much more that you can't, provide. And so just trying to be a support system around whatever your spouse or your girlfriend at the time is choosing to do with their body is something that I've learned over the years. Personal experiences from having to make that decision to have an abortion, with your girlfriend at a young age, to end up feeling like that you didn't have a say-so in it, right? And then understanding as a man where you don't, once you decide to go into that position and you put your seed into this woman, now that's her decision where to go. You can't say, well, I don't want no baby, or you can't have no. You should have thought about that before you go. You know, so teaching my son that, right, and understanding that you have a decision very early on in the process, but later on you don't. And if you decide to go through with it, then you need to be ready to support and provide and do the things that you need to do. So that's kind of been my learning curve over the situation. And then just feeling horrible for, as we was talking off camera, about all the women who've lost their lives in this situation and not being able to have the medicine that they need. And not only around, you know, reproduction and having babies, but even down to like fibroids, right? My wife struggles with that, and Black women not having the information that they need to figure out how to get rid of the fibroids and all those type of things. So whatever we can do to just kind of lean in and learn and listen, that's what I've been like. Same thing, if somebody would have asked me a couple years ago, I said, oh, I guess my perspective may have been different, but now we're in a time where you really just want to have a different understanding. I teach my son that, you know, and then also my daughter, you know, what decisions she has to make before she lays down with somebody and how it can change your life, right?
So it's incumbent upon you to have that information if your desire is to be a father, is to understand the woman's point of view and the things that they go through. We think of a lot of things that we go through, our upbringing, not having a father or having a father, all our experiences, and the dream of being a father, you know, and having a son or a daughter, and what kind of father you want to be. All of that comes to mind, but before inception, those thoughts never came to me in the sense of what she would go through. You know, how would I handle being in a waiting room and being told something and not knowing the information, who do I lean on? All those things that come to mind that happen when you're in the delivery room, or the process of having a baby or having a healthy delivery and all of that stuff. And you know, I think it's absolutely important for us to have these types of conversations and have these thoughts leading up into the idea and actualizing fatherhood. You know, I think we center ourselves, you know, the patriarchy of it all, we center ourselves, you know, we're the ones that make it happen.
And I want to say something. I was raised by women.
Right.
And I ran into some brothers a couple of years, last year, when we were running for election, who felt like Kamala couldn't lead.
Crazy.
I said, but your mother ran the house.
Right.
And my mother tragically died when I was 4, but my sister who raised me was a gangster. Could take $1 and balance the budget like in 25 minutes, $100. So I think that in order to trust Black women, we gotta kind of like, I think you and I were talking about, or no, I was talking to my driver on the way over about holding yourselves accountable. 81% of people don't talk. And Black men have to talk to the women. And a lot of the women, and it's not 81% of women, it's 81% of people don't talk. So I think it starts with a dialogue. But I can personally tell you, I can't imagine walking around with another person inside of me. And I think that we have to yield to women. And I don't think the government can tell you if you were raped. I mean, they're talking about if you were raped or molested, that you have to have that child. I don't think the government should have any say in that. Along with women having a choice of their bodies, we also have to teach our daughters and sons how to be responsible. Not rely on the plan B, you know, because abortion shouldn't be used just so you can all go out and have a good time.
Right.
Whether, because we walk away, you know, but women have to deal with the body, the changing your body. It's so much. I tell my girl all the time, I couldn't do it. Just having a menstrual cycle, I would say, God, can y'all let mine come like once a year? I can pay somebody once a year, because I watch my girl go through the changes emotionally, and not just physically, but it's a lot of shit women go through. So I think men, honestly, need to sit down and shut the fuck up. Right. It's a lot that we don't see, because if you weren't raised that way, you don't know. It's like you listening to you guys trying to be good husbands. But the women gotta let us in, and we can't tell them what to do. And I think this government has to step back and let women make choices for themselves.
Women are the first
wonder of the world, despite what's said. It's the first wonder.
Exactly.
That's the only thing outside of God that I know that creates.
Yes.
First and foremost. The issues that we have are that the woman knows before we know whether or not life should be brought into earth, brought here, or if it should be aborted. They deserve to have that right for the simple fact of America does not allow us to run a system the way we should as a family. Men don't understand, you may be the leader, but you might not be the provider. Do you know how to lead if you are not the provider? In the midst of trying to figure it out, we coming from a whole bunch of systematic, it's been constructed for us to be the way that we are, to think that we are. That's not how it was programmed.
And then talk about that program I mentioned where they took they paid to take black fathers out of the house.
And then from there, me and Cliff was talking about that. When it started with the Section 8, women were able to take care of the kids without the man being in the house, which gave her the mindset that I can be the leader because I have to be the provider. And then after that, it was the crack epidemic, which guys started using or they was going to prison. Regardless, we stayed out of the house. Now it's social media, and the thing is, we were always here to protect the black women. And if you ever seen the movie Sparta, men were actually the leaders, but the leader knew how to lead because he still trusted the woman with the gift that God gave her, which was intuition and discernment. And if you knew how to treat your woman and she knew how to love and that stress was off her, it allowed y'all to operate as a family unit, to be able to trust her so she can be able to trust you. Once you realize how powerful that woman is, a lot of us run around, and even for myself, I struggle with being monogamous because I didn't understand the value of the woman. But once you put a woman next to God, would you play with God the same way? And if you knew what you possessed as powerful, I don't think that we would run around with the promiscuous mindset of thinking it's okay because we wouldn't look at women the way that we are downplayed the thing of how they are.
So I'm gonna interject real quick though. I think that there's something I think that's really dope that you started with is around women being the first close to God, right? Like, because that's a fact. And talking about creation, talking about creating, talking about, because I do think people talk about the human race all the time, and it started with blah 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 blah. It started in Africa, started in Africa with a black woman, right? And so I do think the closest you could get to power, the closest you could get to life, creating circumstances, and is with the black woman.
First wonder, yes.
But also just want to ground us in, when we talk about reproductive justice, it's not just about birthing, right? It's not just about having a kid, and it's about, when we talk about bodily autonomy, it's about, we all want the right to control our bodies. I don't want nobody telling me what to do with my body, right? And that is a right that expands even beyond having a kid, right? And fostering that environment to be able to raise folks. And when we talked about like the village, right? And that it takes a village to raise a kid. It wasn't like, okay, all these people on the block got a responsibility. It was actually, you understood that kid that every decision that goes into raising that kid, teaching that kid how to move, teaching that kid how to communicate, it forms their future, but it also affects everybody in the village, right? And so everybody had a responsibility to make sure that that person and the people that were raising that kid had what they needed, had the healthiest environment and things, to make sure that everyone is okay, that we all can live the life that we deserve, right? And so, I do want to also make sure that, I ain't got no kids, just so I can't talk about, the standpoint of a father, but there are fathers at this table. I also got 25 nephews and nieces. I'm unk over here, you know what I'm saying? I got unk strategy over here. But there's perspectives from all on this table from every angle of it, and I do want to go back to, and we can go wherever you wanted to go, whatever you wanted to say, but I do want to talk about that, like you said, the government shouldn't be involved. Keeping in mind that this is a government that was steeped in what they call white supremacy. I like to call white delusion, right? You know what I'm saying?
Thing, yeah.
It was same thing, right? And the
they don't want to believe that they came from a black woman.
Yeah, and the definition.
Becky, you came from a black woman.
Well, the definition of masculinity, the definition of what we do with our bodies and how we define a government's role in that came from that corrupt standpoint, that corrupt perspective. So I 100% agree that the government shouldn't have anything about it. But where did you want to go with that?
Well, I think one of the things that I think helps, I believe, with women's right in terms of their sexual reproduction is the relationship that we have with the black man. I heard a psychiatrist when I was on one of the panels say that African-American men and women are suffering from 450 years of post-slavery PTSD.
Yes.
So one of the things that I love about this thing right here is that the next one I want to see is black men and black women sitting down together and talking about how do we learn to exist in peace. And I say that because I'm saying this, and a lot of times I have to catch myself. It's emotional. I grew up with a lot of violence around me. My father, when he drank, I seen him knock women. My father fight a baby. He was just off. He was mentally off from the oppression of this culture that broke him, and so we were born, a lot of us were born into that, our fathers, and we're trying to break those cycles. So somehow that ties into me to women's reproductive choices in terms of having a baby with a guy that's comes from a broken family. Now the baby coming in with a broken family, and bam, 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 and the mother's asking the father for support, and like, yo, I ain't asked you to have that motherfucking baby. That ain't shit. I don't even know if that's our motherfucker. I mean, there's so many levels to this that make women cower or not want to talk, or be the victim of, one guy shot his baby mama and the kids the other day. It's so, I think we got to attack that from not just right now in this racist culture that we're seeing with this administration, but also from a generational standpoint. For sure.
I don't have the historical information, man. That's why I'm a listener, man. I'm a great listener. But when I hear, from your generation, your perspective, and your perspective, and everybody's perspective in the sense that as we get into it, I feel like we let women down in that regard. We didn't stand on business. And
what you mean by that?
I just feel like we let depression wear us down. Fathers let depression wear them down and beat them down, take them out of the house, and therefore
they forced them out of the house.
Forced them.
No, they had a program.
Hold on.
They forced them out.
They
didn't leave the house.
I feel that. I understand that. I can't. But ain't nobody gonna make me leave my woman. I get that. I get it. But ain't nobody gonna make me leave my family.
I got you.
I get what. I understand that. I could never fathom what went on back then.
I think you might be alluding to weak ass men allowing things that might be coming up, like oh, this seems like. I don't know exactly the historical presence of it either, but how you say you stripping us from the house. Oftentimes, I'm a man who dates men. A lot of men are strong. So the way that you say you're not gonna take nobody from my family, you're not gonna strip me from my family. A lot of people don't walk with that. A lot of people don't have that. So I mean, it is systematic, but I mean, at the same time, you part of the few men who is not going to live their life like that.
I mean, I get a system that you live in a place that is just geared to tell you you ain't shit, you ain't shit, you ain't shit,
and it beats you down.
You ain't shit, you ain't shit, and it beats your other counterpart down. So y'all come home to
madness,
beatness. Nobody know how to heal anybody, right?
It's a lot that goes into it. I think it's a lot of different influences that happen, whether it's drugs, right? We know that our community struggled with that for a long time.
But let's talk about them. Let's go back. Let's go back and talk about the CIA putting the drugs in the neighborhood.
That's what I'm gonna say. We're in a country where drugs is probably the most highest profit of things that you want, right? But just speaking on fatherhood and being in the house and not being in the household. I think, it's a lot of pressures coming from each side, right?
Yeah.
I've looked at fathers who run in the household and had conversations with them and say, man, you've been on drugs since you was 12 years old, brother. Your brain doesn't have the capability of thinking correctly,
That's true.
right? You are afraid that you can't provide for your family, so you would rather leave, right? Not knowing that you have a woman who's willing to stay down with you and hold you down no matter what, right? So it's just, as a man who, even to this day, get nervous, right? Like, oh man, this shit is slowing up. Like, am I better off telling my baby and them, like, are y'all good? No, of course not, right?
Right.
But you have to be honest about yourself and say, I'm fearful of certain things, and say, and not necessarily a weakness, but necessarily it's like, I'm scared. Right, that I can't provide, and now I've either let someone else kind of tell me what I need to do, right, rather than following my own intuition and having a relationship with my ancestors in the universe, and that can really guide you, or having that one-on-one with your lady. So there's so many things that can pull people out of the house. Similar to the conversation, it's like, well, if I was enslaved, I wouldn't have done that. It's like, well, you really don't know. So it's like, it's so many different things that go into why people do things, and sometimes, you can name it to, it's like, oh, this person was being a coward, or this person was being. But a lot of it is fear, and a lot of it is because we're the minority, and because the pressure that comes from so many other people that don't look like us, it's a lot of pressure that makes you feel that way. And then you got the people that's in your community that oppress you, right? And so as men, we do it to women, right? As men, that's the tier. We do it to women even more, right? We fall underneath that same thing. And so to your point, we got to strip that away, figure out what the issue is with that, have those conversations, understand that it's layers and layers of what it is, but also don't be like, you weak as hell.
Maybe you should have worded like that now.
No, I know. You wouldn't have been able to do it. You ain't been able to hold it down, but it's just like, man, it's so many, reasons why a man would leave a household, and then sometimes it's us not holding them accountable and saying, hey, look, man, you need to get your shit together. All right, you need to make sure you over there. Because now I'm sitting here playing spades with you and smoking, nigga, you ain't seen your kid 3 blocks down the street in weeks. So no accountability. So to your point, as you was talking to your driver, let's take accountability, but then also kind of give each other a little bit of grace and understanding, especially our OGs who went through a lot, especially our guys who are coming from Vietnam, who came home to nothing and lost everything and went out there and lost their mind, saw things we could never imagine, right?
Did everything for this place. And
did everything for this country just for them to take it away from you. And so now I say, well, fuck everybody.
That's my entry point to this conversation. I think that because I went to college and I got a master's degree in human relations, I really sat with and grappled with power and domination when it comes to like gender discrimination and when it comes to discrimination against women. So for me in this conversation, thinking about like fatherhood, I can't help but to think about the way in which I was introduced into this conversation about women's progression and how there were critiques of Black women that talked about how us as men don't start thinking about this shit until we start having kids. So we start to think about how we only think about women when it's tethered to a man. Like, hey, respect her, bro. That's so-and-so, little sister. Hey, respect her, bro. That's so-and-so. So it's really thinking about how us as men, in terms of accountability, we really don't even have a good transition from objectification to fatherhood because you've been a fucker for 20 years. And now you don't want to be a fucker no more. Now you want to be a father. Because we don't have that accountability to think about the how we are taught to objectify women. And I know in our conversations it'd be like, hey, you can get respect from the homies based off how you get down on a bitch. To be real. You can get capital, popularity, preference based off of how you're able to dominate and objectify other women. So then when I come into the conversation, I want to talk about progression of women, we start to have different, I'm gonna say pathology, different ways that stigma taps into it. And I think one of those is us being very critical about how we relate to women that's not related to us. Like, how do you respect women that's not your sister, that's not your mama, that's not your, you know what I'm saying, you feel me? Oh, even when you find attractive. Like, how do you respect for those women? And I think that the conversation starts before we start thinking about fatherhood. It starts to me, thinking about it in middle school, you know what I'm saying? But also in this conversation though, it's like, hey, so before you became a father, before you became a father, when did you think about the general welfare of women?
Well, I'm adopted, so I think that some of that has always been in my mind, just to what will make someone give their child up. You know, since I've always known since I was 7. Feel me? So, what what environment was she in? Did she feel protected? Did she feel wanted, cared for, seen? All the things. So early on, for me, I think for me, it's kind of gone to a place of just humanity of it all, just like a person. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it.
Right.
I want to feel how I feel. That's me. I want the same for everybody.
Yes.
I want you to live your life. I don't want nobody to take their life. But for the most part, if it makes you happy, go do your thing. That's me.
Right.
That's who I am. I understand that a lot of people are not like that. A lot of people also don't have my experience.
Yeah.
That has probably made me this way.
For sure.
My upbringing, you dig? Single parent household, only my mama. Watching my mama deal with men. A safety engineer at NASA, you know, surrounded by white men, telling her she don't know what she's doing. And she telling them, you gotta put the gloves on. You know what I mean? It's my perspective is from that's my earliest.
That's real.
I want to, because how in this moment, because we have, when we're talking about the government, we have abortion bans, Georgia, my home state, Texas, that's leading to women dying, you know, babies dying, people being less safe. And here we have folks, we've been hearing about folks being hung, lynched. We've been hearing about so many things this year that scare me as to how I got a big ass family, how all them people are gonna survive this time. And I'm thinking about, and I'm not thinking about protect black women like we've always heard it, like protect black women, oh, that's my girlfriend, that's my, you know, don't hurt my mama, you know, don't talk about my mama, you know what I mean? But you know, when we were talking earlier about a village, right, and how a village, everybody has a responsibility for each person and each responsibility in nourishing, creating that nourishing environment, making sure there's healthy food, you know, clean water, et cetera, et cetera. What are we doing right now to learn what women need, black women particularly, and play our part in that power building?
I have a question for you guys, because this is something I've been trying to explore, and then I got more on the journey of once I got married, which is like therapy, right? And self-discovery, right? Understanding that my wife had her own journey of therapy.
Thank you.
Being introduced to anger management, right?
Bro.
It's not because you punching holes in the wall, but it's because you just get certain triggers that you don't know how to handle, and you don't know how to. So I think for me, I'm going on a journey, and I'm curious if you all are going on this too, or eager to go on it, because I am learning how to be more enthusiastic about it. Because therapy saying, I don't feel like talking to somebody, I don't want to, you know. So just having that kind of, for me, that's where I'm at, and figuring out that's how I'm gonna make my wife feel safe.
Yes.
She wants to know that in any conversation, I ain't gonna just be like, all right, I gotta go outside and smoke real quick. Like, I ain't, you know, she wants to feel safe. And the more we can make them feel safe, and because naturally we all want to provide. Most men, you want to be the provider, you want to go out there and do the thing, but you forget about it ain't just monetarily, it ain't just hanging out with your son and your daughter. It's like, how do I have these conversations and actually know how to have them?
Yes.
Because sometimes you don't understand that. You don't get taught how to, you know, deal with impulse control and all those type of things. I would be curious to know if any of you all had your own therapy journey and trying to figure out how to, you know, obviously keep your spouse safe or anybody in your life to safe. I know it's particularly talking about the women in our lives. So.
He literally said just what I was about to talk. I don't care what's said. If you think you are okay, go to therapy. If you don't, I've been in therapy like 4 to 5 years, and it's bigger than, like Luke was saying, I'm going to stay in my house, but just because you stay in your house don't mean you're going to have a healthy environment, because you could stay for 20, 30 years for them kids, but if they saw anger and this, that, and the third, you can't be mad that they go out and do the same thing with what they saw. It is encouraged that if you take it self, you need to take it self, you need to have couples there. We as men, even wanting to be better, we only have the information that we've been given amongst each other, but we don't have different perspectives. It's okay to take perspectives from white people because they don't have the mindset of survival that we have. So when you hear different, you think different, you move different. You're more optimistic to know how to move within your household. It is my children. I don't care that they're only 9, 10, 7, 6.
they have problems, and every black man at this table had problems. We had situations we couldn't talk to people about. Get your children in therapy. If you can't afford to do it, healthcare can cover it. Get your children in therapy because they need to have that healthy outlet to have somebody. They don't always feel safe talking to mom and daddy, regardless of how well we are. They don't feel safe doing that.
I would say be careful about getting your therapy for white people, but
I didn't say get it. Don't get it. I didn't say white therapists.
No, I know.
Listening to
Also
in general when they talk about.
Watch when you're listening to them too.
But
what I do want to also say is that I think is really important is that our safety doesn't. That our responsibility in Black women's safety isn't on us to protect our partner generally. It's not just us that's going to have that responsibility.
For sure.
We have to realize that honestly, statistically, the safety from a partner in America is that you're actually less safe from your partner generally.
Partner violence
is so the safety has to come from how you build an accountability outside of that relationship, outside of that family. What is that village you building, right?
Right.
And so I'm interested.
I'm listening. So like I'm just gathering information. I have a lot.
Well, I'm saying both of y'all.
No, same. Yeah.
I know,
Jump in there.
How are y'all thinking beyond like I'm gonna protect my partner? Because I think that there's a value in that. I think there's a value in I'm gonna protect my partner, ain't nothing gonna happen to my partner. At the end of the day though, when you have such big systems that are targeting you and doing their best to pull y'all apart, doing their best to divide y'all and pit y'all against each other, you can't depend on, and that's something that we're taught. Masculinity is how powerful we can be and how we can protect what we own and what we, you know what I'm saying? That is not what protection is. That's not what safety is. So I'm thinking about, outside of that, how do y'all think about safety outside of just I'm the protector? You know what I'm saying? How do we build that?
The thing that pops into my head right now as we're having this conversation is the system is capitalism, and what that looks like is we're talking about therapy, which I think is very important, but we don't think about the colonial aspect of therapy, which I mentioned in our conversation earlier, and how capitalism and this individualistic view of our responsibility as well is tied to breaking up of our communities. You talked about a village. So when we're thinking about our families, like you as a father, I'm not a dad, I don't have any children, I don't plan on it. When people think, okay, I have a family and I'm raising my children, it's like mom, dad, kids. And we forget like that is a lot of pressure, and it's not supposed to be that way.
Right.
I think it's supposed to be a community of people that are helping each other, and we have not created that community. It's just like I'm over here with my family here, I'm over there with my family there, and there's no communication. And I think that's ultimately something that's really important, is us being able to come together and create from there, create the community where everyone has a responsibility to themselves and each other.
Our natural ways have been dismantled.
Real quick,
I think that's
do you have examples of what that looks like in your life?
Give me a more specific question. Sorry.
If it's not, you think about it, but just like what that protection, what that looks like. That you talked about colonial effect on therapy. Now I know that, to me, I'm like, hell yeah, talk about the colonial therapy. But I also don't. I know that a lot of people don't know what the hell that means, right?
I'm saying, like, when you think about therapy and when you're going,
and I'm not asking you necessarily about that. I'm asking you generally what that protection and that outside help and so it looks like in your life.
Okay. Like growing up, I'll use my life as an example. Obviously, I grew up with both my parents, my mom and my dad. From the outside, it would look very traditional, but my mom was the one that was really holding everything down. My dad was very supportive with me when it came to providing monetarily. He also was the one that had a more formal education, so he was able to help me when I needed help with schoolwork. But when it came to my care, it was my mom that was there. And then I noticed the way that he behaved, or like his behavior around women, and how he was with my mom, how he was with his sisters and his mother, and how he was with me. So I'm as a trans person and as being his daughter and his little girl at the time, he treated me with such care, and it was the complete antithesis in the way that he treated my mother and the way that he treated his sister. So it was interesting to see him treat my mom like shit, and then be like, no, but my sister's like, I'll kill somebody if someone mess with my sister. I'll kill somebody if someone mess with my mother. I'm like, why don't you bring that same energy to my mother?
So branch off of that. Oh wait. Go.
I mean, and so when in my process, like in my transition, and when I started thinking about how I wanted to show up as a man in this world, it was like I wanted to borrow that softness that he embodied when he was interacting with other women in his family, but not the way that he treated my mother, and what that partner violence looked like, and why. So I started to question what was his view of my mother, because clearly he didn't see her as family. Not really. He saw her as an incubator that gave birth to his child that he now loves and cares for. And then he has his sisters and his mother that he also cares for and wants to protect. But all the women that he would be engaged sexually with were just that. There were things that I would get pleasure, and they can make me a meal, and that was that.
Personally, I grew up with all women. Like, single parent home, had no grandparents except my grandmother, no grandfather. Both had passed away before I was born. Father wasn't around, and taking care of everybody. So I've always conceded power to women. That's been my nature. I guess my nature and my nurture is because that's all that was there. So for my journey, I was in autobiographies trying to figure out where's a man and who could teach me how to do it. What does it look like? I'm looking to Sammy Davis Jr. and Sidney Poitier and anybody that's got an autobiography about whatever, Bill Cosby, only to get that dream shattered. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of men who've grown up in those environments are trying to figure out how to hold themselves accountable while also holding themselves hostage, right? I was trying to take up for my father not being there. I was trying to take up for my grandfather's not being there, overcompensating and not necessarily knowing exactly what my place and my position was. So I think I can't speak for everybody, but I think a lot of black men just don't know, when they say be a man, what does that mean? Yeah. And not even what does that mean? That doesn't mean the same thing for this woman. That doesn't mean the same thing for this woman. What is her back? So I think a lot of it is double dutching. It's like, how do I give myself enough grace while also pushing myself and challenging myself to learn and listen and hear. And like I said, like even there's not a single same perspective. It's all different. It's all different. We're all figuring it out, And I think that's, like I say, it's like, how much grace can we give ourselves? How can we hold ourselves accountable without the guilt and the shame kicking in? Because guilt and shame will do a whole lot. Guilt and shame will freeze you up. Guilt and shame will keep you from actually sitting in a space that actually is safe. You don't know that it's safe because you're so used to, putting on. It's just, I think it's just that. It's having space to even do this. This is village.
And accountability, like you said, giving yourself that grace, and then understanding when it's like, all right, tighten up. All right, it's time to, and then educating yourself. A lot of us, we don't remember to read, right? Y'all remember them posters that they used to say read? And you got your celebrity on there, and you don't even see them posters no more. Right? You don't even see things to really push each other. Right? Educate. So the more we can kind of educate ourselves, and like you said, to your point, to the village, right? Understanding that it's there, it's obtainable, right? I just shot a movie in Nicholson Gardens, and I'm like, yo, all these kids in the project still got villages that we are taking away. You try to get away from it's tough times in the black neighborhood. It's like, man, these kids still out here playing. They still out here having a good time, right? And understanding like why or what that is for certain communities and why it's necessary for them. They don't got nobody else. So they gotta send their kids outside to say, hey, can you watch my kid today for a second? I gotta go to work, whatever. So sometimes you get above yourself and think, I don't need nobody. I done made enough money. I can pay for this nanny over here. Rather than being like, oh, nah, Luke, you want your kid to come hang out with my kid today? And then we go do this, All right, cool, we hang out. Remembering that it's all there and it's obtainable, but sometimes we push it away ourselves too,
Something that I really do think about when we thinking about power, right? Because I think we misunderstand power. We've been taught all types of false definitions and notions of power. And a lot of the time, the way that we understand power is really abuse. right? It's like we bully each other. We we abuse our power over each other and say things that we're not supposed to. We bully or abuse our power over women. We abuse our power over kids. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the time, that's what we see. And I want to know just a simple question. When we're thinking about, I think with the opposite of abuse, when we think about love, and love can be powerful, love can be extremely powerful. What does it mean to love Black women? And I want y'all to think about, because you was talking about what did you say? Accountability. Hold ourselves accountable while holding ourselves hostage.
Trying to hold ourselves accountable without holding ourselves
hostage. Talking about parents and all type, and so I'm just we can tie all of that shit in. It's not a limited conversation, but just thinking about just first to introduce it into like, what does it mean to love Black women?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got a perspective about love. One perspective about love. I think that love is uncontrollable. I think it's spontaneous. I think in its rarest form, you cannot contain it. And I think that's the first part. I think it belongs to everybody. And how it's received and how it's received is not up to you. But it's how you give it is up to you. But I think it's first there, understanding what the power of love really is. Because I think everybody has their perspective of what love is in my household. What love is with my woman.
Right.
As opposed to, what does love mean to her? Mm-hmm. What does that mean to you? I'll tell you what it means to me. You tell me what it means to you. And let's find our way to middle ground of some sort. I think it's there. It's just trying to understand what that is. Because everybody throws that shit around. It's popular. Right. Makes a lot of money. It's nice. Everybody wants it. Everybody's fighting for a variation of it.
Right.
It's trying to understand what that is. And I just think that love is not a thing that we can control. It just is first.
I see this head nod going. I like that. Go ahead. I like it.
I'm going to combine like a couple of different topics, and it won't be in any chronological order, so just bear with me. Mm-hmm. One thing that Conscious will talk about is pandering, and me as a Black gay man, for me, love shows up as different. There's no sex attached to my care for Black women. So I would say for me as a child, one of the strongest women that were within my life was my grandmother. She was someone who she loved me with everything. She was someone who made sure that whenever I walk into a room, know that, I'm not trying to sound cocky or nothing, but eyes will be on you. People will be listening to you. Whatever you want to be in your life, you can be, whether that be a president, a CEO, whether you own your own business, whether you be a millionaire, anything you want to do, you can do. And with that, my grandmother was someone, she was a banker. She was someone who, she helped her community. All the people from Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, North Little Rock, Arkansas, she knew all the millionaires. She knew all the business owners. She told people yes, no. She ran her bank. She ran her branch. She had people pull guns out on her and trying to rob her. That same woman who left work, she was someone who raised 2 strong sons. My father's a federal investigator. My uncle, my late uncle, he was a manager of the VA for the suicide unit. She was someone who raised strong Black men. And the same Black men that she supported, the same Black man that she fed that was also her husband, also be the same people that put their thumb on their motherfucking head. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to say is someone who can be so strong. We also live where we're in a community where traditionally, once a white man took his thumb off of us, a lot of us put our thumb on the woman. Yes. Mm-hmm. So one thing that you talked about as far as like your dad and how you treated your mother, I feel like one privilege it is to not be gay. Not gonna lie, I love being gay. Like, whether it's not a choice, it's not a choice. But in my life, what I feel is, it was karma for the straight men, and also like to reject what patriarchy and masculinity look like, because I had to choose how I'm going to live my life. So, how you were talking about how your dad, he was real good with his mom, he was real good with his sisters.
And me as a child.
Yes. A lot of men, they just live based off of the moral code. You don't even know what your own motherfucking morals are. Right. A lot of you just want to have children because that's what you're taught to. You didn't get no education. You're not saying you have to get education. You have no craft. You have no skill. So all you can do is really just have fun and have children. Nigga, fuck you. And then another thing that I want to say is too, a lot of people, when I said having accolades and things like this, a lot of my friends, and especially with moving to Houston, I have such a respect because like in Arkansas, a lot of people had kids by the time that they were my age. I'm 26. Majority of my friends, like they're between 29 to 30 to 40, you know, beautiful women, well into the careers, clocking 200,000 plus. You know, my allyship to them is supporting them whenever we're out. Like I am a protector. I'm not, there's a big kind of like conversation about like, oh, gay men don't want to be treated as like poodles or whatever. Realistically, I'm 6'2", I'm 200 pounds, 215. Like it's like if a motherfucker step up to my friends, I'm going to defend them. I feel like my presence as a black gay man is to use my masculinity, me being a man, as to not only allow myself, you know, vertical, you know, promotion within life. I don't know how to coin that the right way, but also bring up my sisters with me. And that can be whether it's education, go and get that education, whether it's in careers, because black women are the smartest group in America. They're also the most underpaid. If you want that money, ask for it. You know, whenever you go to that interview, let them know what you want. And the same thing as far as like a job, how you can switch out a job is no different than a man. And you know how we're talking about like the moral basis of, I don't want to lose my track. The moral basis of people not knowing themselves and having babies, a lot of men don't got shit to contribute. If you can't even commit marriage to a motherfucking woman, what makes you think that she wants to commit to having a baby? That 9 to 10 months, that can fuck up that whole baby's life.
Not being supported.
Yeah, you can't.
In the same way that she was talking about, you know, asking for that promotion and things like that, because that also, when we're when we're seen as having some more control or power over in a work environment, you know, people aren't going to abuse us as much. People aren't going to, supposedly, right? Where are we advocating? You know what I'm saying? In the same way of like not being prepared for fatherhood. Where are we advocating for those black women in the job, in the workplace, and making sure that they are seen in the way that they should be and empowered in the way that they should, in the same way that in fatherhood and outside of fatherhood, when you know that your homie is gonna have thinking about having kids, when you know that your brother or whoever is thinking about having kids, how are you empowering the mother that, or who could be the mother, and how are you holding your brother or your homie accountable? And what does that even mean?
The same conversation I can say like, hey, you need to ask for it 150, 200, 175, be the same conversation like, you know, like, what's he doing?
Right.
You know, like, and it's like, it might be a conversation. I think also with certain conversations, it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, or whatever, you're still a man. Whenever a woman wants to open up and talk to you about certain things, that's when you want to talk about it. Like, you can't be overbearing, because with patriarchy, with masculinity, it's kind of like you trying to talk about something you want to talk about and shouldn't even want to talk about that. That's you exerting your masculinity over somebody. So like whenever my friends talk about their dating, majority of my friends are introverts. They're real kind of like to themselves. They don't like to talk about their business. When they do open up, that's when I ask like, hey, like, you know, you have X, Y, and Z. Is he providing you what you need? Or is he just a placeholder until that right man comes? So sometimes it will be different. It just depends. Because you got to be the person to say it.
Yeah, I would say too.
You got to go ahead. No, I want to see what you're going to say.
No, I'll go ahead.
And placeholder might not be the right thing. It might not be the right thing to say, but.
You know, I was just talking about, I'm 70 years old. So I come from a whole nother era than any of you Negroes is talking about. And what I've learned, and I'm not saying I'm right, I think everybody is right. Because there's so many levels to this. But most of this was laid on our parents' parents.
Yeah.
My father was born in 1915 and his parents were slaves. Well, his grandparents were slaves. So what I've learned is it's not your mother's fault, it's not your father's fault, it's not your fault. We were born into 450 years of post-slavery PTSD. I am 69, be 70 in March. I've just learned how to love. Our parents didn't know how to love. Their parents didn't know how to love. And if I could say anybody maybe had an edge, it was the women. That's why I celebrate black women. I live with a psychiatrist, forensics detective, gangster, loving Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, who's just been patient with me to teach me how to love. But in closing on this, because I don't want to get too deep, I called my buddy, man. I said, I'm fucking up, bro, really bad. I'm fucking up. So I never been monogamous. So I don't fucking know what it
What age did you become a monogamous?
today. No, but let me just say what it is.
Good to know.
And we don't talk about this. We don't talk about dopamine being in a pleasant center of the brain like we talked about. Oxytocin is the hormone. It's called the cuddle hormone. So a lot of times we're just talking in generalities. And that's why I think what you said about counseling, because a counselor is going to get inside of this from a real, not even white people perspective, just from a scientific perspective, unless science is not wrong and the brain is not the man it is. So when I hurt my girl, which I've done over and over, and I commend her for even being with me, and I said it in my podcast, and I'm gonna say this and stop. I called one of my partners who was brilliant. He said, when you hurt somebody, where you leave them is where they stay. So I think our parents, our grandparents, our uncles, the people that raised us, those men who treated the women outside the house nice, but then put the thumb on the grandmama and put the thumb on the girlfriend or whoever. They are all, it all comes from out of all of that. And I think that's what makes me excited that we're gonna bring the women and the uncles and we need to bring them all in here. But go ahead, what you gonna say?
The one thing that I just want to talk about in Luke, make sure I say the name right, crop this part out. Okay. What Luke brought up was like accountability. Like, yes, we can talk about, what our families did to us, all this, all that, but eventually, and I know why people try and say this, and I really don't like that, but eventually it comes a point where you have to decide, how do I want to live my life? I haven't talked to my daddy in 6 years. I don't give a fuck about what my family has gone through. I know where I will go. So it's like, you can only say that for so long. Black women are tired and, kind of like putting onto them like, hey, like, you didn't do this entirely, because everybody in here, several people have talked about like, going to counseling. Have that upon yourself. Stop waiting for a woman to tell you what you need to do. Take that upon yourself.
Let me address that real quickly. For me, I didn't know fucking how to
Can I say one more thing? No, I have to say this, because another thing that happens is too, you live your life for so long, and I'm not meaning no disrespect by this.
It's all right, just say it, bro.
But when you hit your 60s and your 70s, I want to be right.
Okay, but let me.
I want to live my life right. I want someone to take care of me and protect me, and that's what a lot of women have issues with.
Because I'm living it right the fuck now.
As I said,
listen to
I said 60s and 70s.
Let me say this.
Don't overtalk me.
I'm gonna fucking overtalk you because you're talking out of line.
But you're not gonna disrespect me.
You don't know what the fuck you talking about.
I am.
I just learned to love at 60.
I do.
You don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Oh, I do.
Because you can't
I do.
I do. You don't know it, nigga.
I do.
I'm good. You don't know what the fuck you talking about. Get the fuck out of here. I'm living, you can't tell me what the fuck I'm living, nigga. I'm living it right now. You cannot fix no shit that you don't even know is happening.
I think there's a misunderstanding.
No, but he's generalized. You can't, listen, bro. Let me stop. This is what it is. Let's get to the truth of this shit. You can't fix no shit unless you meet somebody who is on another level to help you elevate to understand. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm telling you what the shit is. You can't fix some shit that you don't know about, bro.
Yeah.
You can't. And then you get there at 69 or 70 and say, I thought I was being loved all this time. That's what our parents have gone through, and that's why we all so fucked up right now.
You asked, how do we love black women?
Yeah.
That's right here. Trust black women and listen to black women, because they know more than we do what it is that they need.
I don't think that's true either.
As men,
there's a lot of black women who don't know how to love.
I'm not talking about what they know how to love. I'm saying what they need as far as the reproductive.
I get that.
That's what we're talking about right now. Also, if we're gonna use our privilege and power as men in society, how do we show up and be accountable? Like you said, the way to be accountable is to dismantle patriarchy, because patriarchy makes it so that men have the power and women do not.
But you can't get there unless you listen to him. We got to go, and you may not agree. We gotta go to therapy. I should be in therapy right now. My girl should be in therapy. We all come from generations and generations, and you can't motherfucker sit here and tell me when I'm going through at 70, I just realized, but listen to what I'm saying. We good, bro. It's not gonna get out of control. This is real shit. Bro, this is real shit. I'm telling you, you can't love a queen. Some of these girls out here in Queens because their daddies wasn't there. If your daddy ain't there from 12 to 25, you going down a rabbit hole. Promiscuity, drugs, gotta read more. Gotta stop getting so fucking defensive and read more, because I read. I know what the fuck I'm talking about because I'm living it. Until you meet a real motherfucking queen who had to figure out her trauma
You can't even learn how to love a black woman.
So here's one thing.
That's what we got to start.
Here's one thing with because I think I agree that you can't wait until you know.
You got to hold yourself accountable.
So
if you figure it out.
Hold on. Because here's
if you figure it out, bro.
But you got to let other people talk. Hold on.
No, it's all good. That's why I can't do this,
I got you.
I'm on.
You can't. You can't.
The arguments are important. This is how black men talk to each other. So I want to make sure. This is what I want to make sure we're framing properly, because at a lot of the time we think, because you're talking about your privilege and your power and how you use it. A lot of time we've been taught our power is how we control a situation, and we try to control that situation by dominating it, by shutting other people down, by overpowering them. And I think that is something that, I mean, monogamy, just to be real, is not the end all be all. That's not the best. It's the only way. It's not the only way to live, and it's not just men or women. It's literally, there are other ways to be. And so some people value monogamy more. That doesn't mean that you have sin and you dead and you evil if you haven't been. But the problem is, most of the time, the way that we're living is by telling somebody that we are monogamous when we're not. Hold on. That's lying.
But let's
hold on.
Bro.
So that's dishonesty.
We can't talk about monogamy. No, we gotta talk. No, we gotta talk about
you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm agreeing with you. Hold on.
Men are not. First of all, this is not our culture. In Africa, it's polygamy.
No.
It's not monogamous biologically, is it?
Some people do believe that monogamy is the most healthy thing.
97% of married men cheat, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
85% of married women cheat. Nobody is being monogamous.
We've also been taught to lie, and we've also been taught to dominate and control. So I think there are other perspectives here that are valuable in holding that stuff accountable, because we were talking about how to hold each other accountable in this,
Can
right?
I add something to that?
In talking about trusting black women and loving black women, how do we hold each other accountable in that? How do we make promises that we can keep? How do we say that, make sure that we're surrounding each other with people who are going to check us when we're wrong, right? And how do we know that who knows what's right and what's wrong in that, right?
I think it's
even what I read, a lot of the time what we read is wrong. A lot of the time the books that they give us to educate ourselves are wrong. So I do want to hear more perspectives on literally how to hold ourselves accountable in that. We're talking about trusting black women. How do we trust black women, right? You know what I'm saying? And what is that trust accountable to? What books, because a lot of the books that we're given in school are lies that tell us the opposite of how to trust black women. That tell us the opposite of how to hold each other accountable and make sure that we understand what is right and wrong and what each other's perspectives are. So I love the energy of, I'm not afraid of the argument. I'm not afraid of the fight. But it does have to be. But I do want to make sure that we take it to a place where we come out here more powerful than we did when we came.
I think we gotta listen to Luke. I think we gotta listen to Luke. He's talking about therapy. This is what he's saying.
We gonna get your t-shirt to say, listen to Luke.
In order for us to trust black women, we gotta fix ourselves. They gotta go fix themselves, and it starts with black people don't like to go to counseling. They need to go to fucking therapy. That's it.
Jay brought that up, and I agree that we must talk, but I do also understand the value in us talking, our perspective.
We got that part, but how do we find solutions?
But the only thing is we're not gonna get to a solution because there is still something on the table. There's still something on the table, and we gotta.
What's on the table?
The problem is your point of view. His point of view.
What's on the table to me is how do we as black men?
You said listen to Luke.
No, but I'm just interjecting, bro. Y'all said interject.
Well, inject.
Listen, I'm saying, how do we help black women? I'm telling you.
Well, first we gotta help ourselves.
Right. But I'm saying is,
if we can't figure out,
if
we can't figure out what love really means, what love looks like to us, what love has been to us, what have we been taught about love?
We come from generations of no love.
Right.
So we gotta go back to
patriarchy come with accountability?
No, I think we gotta go back to
the definition of patriarchy is when we have systems of domination for men. Right now, I think we're not doing a good job of naming the system that literally incentivizes us to be on some fuck shit, or it incentivizes us to always want to be dominated in power.
Patriarchy,
But I think in our conversation right now as black people, a lot of times when you hear the word patriarchy, you think about the word patriarchy, you think about how we're taught in Christianity to be patriarchs. So a lot of us have a hard time thinking about leadership and thinking about how that leadership comes out in fucked up ways. I.e., I want to be a patriarch like Father Abraham, therefore patriarchy is good. Patriarchy is not good. The system of domination for women is not good. But a lot of us buy into that.
So I got a question I want to ask you.
What's your
How
question?
do we unlearn that? I think we unlearn that by listening to what he's saying.
About what specifically?
It's therapy. So we can go understand all of it.
But listen, I want to be clear. Right now, we're talking about a system of power.
Right.
If you think interpersonally going to therapy is going to deconstruct the system of power, no.
I'm not saying
But this is what we get at. Right now, we're talking about trusted black women. There's a system I'm saying that goes against it.
Aspect to it.
Yes.
I'm not. Don't go to no white therapy.
No, but hold on. If we talking about therapy,
Let's talk about therapy.
this is therapy.
Yes.
Right. This is therapeutics.
Right.
Us looking like us.
Yes. Right.
Different ages, different experiences. Us. It's gonna be ugly. It's not gonna be cute. We ain't professional therapists or nothing, but we are listening.
Okay, hold on.
And I think that's the point where we got
have to stay there.
Right here is just listen.
Stay there.
Listen and find and wait for it. Cause sometimes it's just the listening. I think that's the whole part of this whole thing. Cause we don't listen because we live in this space of feeling like we know everything. And we are not the smartest people in the room.
I think it goes a step further than that. I think we're too ashamed to admit when we're wrong. And so when we go, when Trust, I'm gonna say something. Tressie Cottom, credible writer, sociologist. She says we are smarter when we listen to black women, not because all black women are right, but because all black women deserve to be heard, right? And when we're so caught up in the process of listening is love. That's how we love black women, by listening to them, right? Again, everything they said isn't necessarily right, but they do deserve to be heard.
So let me address that.
Hold on, let me finish. Let me back it up. In doing so, we can help dismantle patriarchy because we're leading with, hold on, let me finish, brother. We're leading with listening. And if we lead with listening, that means we're not listening so that we can respond. We're listening to understand, which means you might have to ask another question. If you speak, it is to ask another question,
And not censor yourself.
so you can get more information from the source.
Okay. And so I started out really quick with that patriarchy, because we keep saying patriarchy and you were saying without centering yourself, and I think that that's really important. Because I wouldn't know. I'll just be real. If me being young nigga in the street, I wouldn't be. I wouldn't
say young, but
when I was. I'm not saying now. I understand what it is now, but I'm saying when I was, I wouldn't hear somebody talk about dismantling patriarchy and be even attracted to the conversation or even know what that means, right? And so what I would like you to go a little bit deeper into what does that even mean? Because for me, the way I'm thinking about it is the way that we've been taught wrong about our power. That we are supposed to, that we have some sort of privilege in certain, in some situations, that we have a little bit more power than somebody else, and that we abuse that power. We use that power to try to control the situation in our favor, when we should be listening to other people, when we should be honoring their existence and centering their freedom, their liberation. You know what I'm saying? So what their experience. So what does that mean to y'all? What does that even mean to dismantle patriarchy? What is that? Why is it harmful? And I'm not putting that necessarily on you, but whoever wants to.
Can I go?
What does that mean? Yeah.
So when someone comes to you and they already know what you possess as a person, like, for example, like a lot of doctors. Once I feel like a lot of black men get higher education, a lot of people want to get treated like a bitch. That's the truth. Like, more accolades, get treated like a bitch. Like, you want,
Take care of me.
Yes, take care of me. Like, or like, like I'm the prize. I'm the prize.
You talking about when you become rich and famous.
You don't even got to be rich and famous. It could be you going for 12 years in academia.
That language
I'm trying to understand you.
What?
treated like a bitch.
like a bitch.
That's how they want to be treated. Some men
They want to be like a prima donna.
But think about the
That's
way
relative
that
to
you're saying
patriarchy.
that, and
Yeah,
what we're
that's
talking about
good.
now
That's
about
good.
censoring like black women and their experiences, and even the saying treated like.
I'm not making that connection. Bitch to me is subservient. Men can be bitches. Women can, I shouldn't say that.
But you're a man.
Yeah, but
so you being called a bitch is not the same as a woman being called a bitch, especially a black woman being called a bitch.
I feel like the black women that listen to this, they're gonna know what I'm talking about. They're gonna know what I'm talking about.
As long as we put, because I think it's important. I hear what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get it. What I think that it's important that we talk about all of it.
Yes.
So this is what I'm saying. So like, when we're speaking in this way, this is how the dismantling happens. Because the language and how we say things is very important.
Sure.
And that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So like, I'm not saying like, don't say it, because I'm like, I say bitch all the time. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. But it's essentially about when we're talking about the systems of power, and when we talk about dismantling patriarchy, and we talk about masculinity and what that means and what that looks like to us. And I could say even to y'all as someone as cis men, because my perspective of it is going to be completely different from how you all experienced it, having come from a different place. So like, when growing up, I have two brothers, and the way my father taught my two brothers what it would be to be what it meant to be a man, and how to show up, and what masculinity meant, it was always domination, it's power, it's strength. And it was never really softness, like protection, not softness. So I wanted to combat the idea that being a good man, or a man,
it's a mixture.
is being like or men are natural protectors or natural providers. I don't think that's the case at all. Men are not. You can't be a natural protector and provider when you are the one that's causing harm.
Right.
Yeah.
So what are you protecting? You're protecting. You say you're protecting women.
You said that so eloquently.
You're saying
So simple too.
He said it the way I was trying to say it.
No,
you're protecting your soul.
Then you be doing this motherfucking hands like this, like I'm gonna fuck you up.
So that is largely how we get it wrong.
And then we talk about masculinity. So when we're teaching young men and boys,
I think we on to something here. I think we on to something.
What masculinity is, it's always an antithesis to femininity. And
exactly
womanhood.
right.
So then it's just like, to be a man and to be strong and to show up means you don't be like a woman. So being a woman is less than. It's always going to be down.
Right. So let's go back to what we were talking about the table. Listen.
Right.
What I was trying to say to you is this.
I think.
Out of everybody in this motherfucking room, I'm 70 years old. My mother committed suicide when I was 4. My father was a dysfunctional alcoholic. I'm just learning. Like you said, I think when you learn, you gotta do better.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to do better. So we talking about trusting black women, because that's why the fuck I'm here.
Right.
And I don't like doing this kind of shit.
Right.
Because my brain is on another level, because I live with the boss. I live with a queen who's a boss, that if you saw me, and I'm just saying this, and that's why I got emotional, because I'm living it right now. Every 18 seconds, a woman gets beaten in this country by a man. When a woman is killed, it's by the domestic partner. So it's a lot of things that y'all are talking about that's true, that in order for us as Black and Latino men, or you Latin?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm half Latin.
Head ass.
I'm just saying.
No, but I'm just saying, what I'm saying, nobody at this table is wrong. In order to love Black women, we gotta figure out where we are as men and how to get away from what you said, that patriarchal kind of bullshit that we've been taught, like your dad, be nice to everybody else, but got his thumb on your mother's head. That's not love.
So what happens when you come to a woman that you don't see as a queen?
Okay,
Real fast. Right now, we just got done doing the No Kings rally, right?
Right.
Talking about kings, talking about Donald Trump. You see what I'm saying? We keep on talking about a queen, it automatically places a hierarchy. So what do you do to the women you see as peasants, and or what do you do when a man does not see a woman as a queen?
Okay,
I think that's a part of the issue.
Real quick.
What a hierarchy.
Wait. So I think that there was something. I think there was something really important that you was bringing up, and that you bringing up when we're talking about it.
I need a drink.
When we're talking, well, here you go.
You gonna take one?
I stopped drinking for a year. I stopped drinking for a year. I need a goddamn drink.
So I think there's something really important. How do we understand who taught us how to have power, how to exercise our power?
Let's address it.
Let's go.
This is what I was saying, guys. Listen, try to hear me. I hate to sound like the grandfather, but I am. Is when you meet a woman who maybe has gone through trauma and has come out of that trauma and has fixed herself in terms of her tone and respect to a man, and she's gentle, she disarms you. But if you never seen that, you don't even know how to react to it. And in the beginning, when I met my girl, I was so fucking mean, and I was tough, and I was all out there, and I was all over the place,
and I was disrespectful, and whether it's dopamine or oxytocin, I put all that shit in her face, and I crushed her. This really happened. And I called my partner, and one of my partners was a thug. He said, fix it. My other partner said, when you hurt someone, where you leave them is where they stay. If we talk about being here to trust black women, we cannot trust black women unless every man that I know, and I'm still struggling with being monogamous in the streets because I'm well known, is we gotta start with, I believe, therapy, or at least reading and going into ourselves, holding ourselves accountable, and say, yeah, I fucked up. Because the first thing, what am I calling my buddy? I said, man, she had my phone for a fucking month. He said, nigga, just don't say you did it.
We gotta meet people where they are. Sometimes I think you're saying reading. Reading is not the only important thing, because a lot of people
I didn't say
no, I'm
reading.
saying people can read and not really.
Everybody's taking
No, I'm
every
saying-
fucking thing
no,
I
no,
said.
no.
Hold on, bro.
Nobody's
I'm
saying anything. I'm not saying that.
Stop
Listen,
taking the shit that I'm saying out of
no, no, no.
context, bro.
I'm explaining a concept.
You talking about reading. I'm saying reading is a myriad of shit you got.
All right, but let him
That's
let him
not
say
what
his
I'm even going
perspective
to.
real quick.
People read and don't understand what they're reading. You just said that you're a woman, your black queen, she's the queen to you, and essentially you kind of alluded to the reason that she was a black queen to you was because she was gentle to you and was able to make you feel like, oh, I can open up and feel safe.
That's not what I said.
That's not what you said.
No, I said, what
Explain
I
to me
was
again.
trying to say is she's held me accountable.
Held you accountable.
And forced me, man.
You didn't, not for you, in a soft way that made you able to do it.
Because I'm about to walk the fuck out of here.
We right here with you.
Okay, but I'm saying, in order for us to trust, if this is about fucking trusting black women, then you gotta be able to let your woman hold you accountable when you do patriarchal shit.
You agree?
Right.
And
You're not
when you
disagreeing with
come
that.
from the streets, that's almost impossible. Because we grew up, like you said, fuck that bitch. It's just so complicated. And in order for you to grow, even at 50, and I agree with you, you have to take yourself accountable. But when y'all bring me in this motherfucker, I'm living this. The main theme is trusting black women, but how do we get ourselves as men fixed to be able to love them the way they need to be loved?
Well, that's the beauty of this conversation, because we won't get to that. That's the beauty of this exercise that has been created here, and that will continue on because it can't be figured out in this round table. But we
talking about part two.
We are taking the steps.
I got you.
This is one. We are right now, currently, right now, everybody in this room, harmoniously trying to lay this one brick. To create more foundation that we can build on to be able to have a place of trust that black women feel like they can come into this space with us, that we will listen and we will sit
And
here
be gentle.
and be gentle with ourselves, that we don't understand, that I don't understand what's being said, and I think somebody's hearing me wrong, somebody's saying it wrong, somebody's talking over me, something's happening to me. These are all things that don't allow women to come and open up to us, because we are ready to play football every goddamn time.
Definitely.
Right now, we gotta. So that's why we gotta have our space to ourselves. A man has to have his space to himself.
Which is patriarchal.
Patriarchal.
Can I ask a question to
right?
you? Yeah. People are living in broken, marriage is not working in this culture. 3 out of 5 marriages end in divorce. So people are living in fear inside of their own homes.
Yes.
So the question I'm asking is for guys who straight from the hood. Is it possible for those guys to sit in here with us
Yes.
and hear us?
Yes.
And
Being from Atlanta, being from the streets, I spent 2 years of my life locked up fighting 2 life sentences. It took a woman, and going back to what you were saying as well about how we as men got to stop relying on women. Women are natural nurturers and providers. It took a woman to show me love, to say, this ain't how you do this. And my first mindset, being from the street, bitch, who you talking to? That's what I was thinking.
there you go.
But I had to understand it's 2 parts to that. You either want to be a better person, or you can accept what you think is
Thank you,
right.
bro.
And so once she educated me on certain things and said, no, baby, we don't do it like this. You need to go to therapy. You need to do it. It was a lot of things that I felt like I should have been combative about, but I wasn't, because I know I talk to God and say, I need answers. My answers ain't always gonna come through a man.
For sure.
I was taught to believe that it did, because a man should raise a man. But a woman is nurturing and caring, and if she cares about herself, she cares about her counterpart.
So it's up to us to listen, to accept. We don't have to agree. 90% of the time, I don't agree. The fact that you can say, I accept, I receive what you're saying, you don't interrupt, you don't defend yourself. These are all.
I got a question. Is that hard for you as a street guy? Was that?
It's hard right now.
I get you. I get it. But I'm just making sure everybody get heard. All right.
No, it's not.
It is hard. It's hard because as a man, I know what I want to do, but I also know I'm trying to break a system that God is helping me break because I have to unlearn what I thought was right. And her doing it, and not only that, even going into becoming monogamous. Naturally, it's not instinctually something I want to do. However, I do understand the game of life to know that this is chess and you can't cheat. As a key, which I am, my key only goes for one lock. I can't unlock every house. So I have to protect my home. As beautiful it is outside, it's the same way inside. So because of that, I can't trick myself out of position thinking that when I'm so focused on this, I'm focused on this. My kids, my woman, I don't have time to kind of step out and be like, I gotta come on. She ain't always gonna be, it's a distraction. And as a man, I'm trying to win this game of chess. I can't do it, but I need to feel that lust. I need to feel that because I know I'm built to overcome these obstacles that are set in my way to make me go off course.
I have a genuine question for you. When you say you don't naturally have an inclination towards monogamy, what does that mean to you? I want to clarify the question, because you're like wanting to be in a monogamous relationship that is important to you and for your partner. So when you're out in the streets, what is it that you feel where you're fighting in order to remain in a monogamous relationship?
So for me personally, I don't put myself in a situation where I don't fight with it no more. I don't go out to the club. Okay. I don't hang around women. It's discipline. I got discipline, and this discipline is the reward for being disciplined is the outcome of what makes men so great and what makes men be able to understand. So if I know that there's certain things that's going to put me in those positions,
I'm putting you in that position hypothetically. So that's what I'm saying. So when you were out in the clubs and you were presented, what was it that you're like, yo, fuck my girl, I want to be with this girl right now?
Because one, like you said, it's the lack of validation that I thought I needed, because the things that made me feel like a man was that post nut. That post nut made me feel wanted because it started as a child. As we become adults, we don't understand you grow. The inside of you is always that child seeking that validation, that satisfaction of whatever didn't go right in life. That's what it was for me. So I learned that in therapy. I had to learn to discipline myself. I can't put myself in situations where that natural feeling, because if we only ask these questions when it comes to human race. We don't ask why lions go around fucking. We don't ask why monkeys go around fucking. The man is always allowed to go around and procreate in other animal kingdoms. But when it comes to us, instead of sitting there saying it's like men are dogs, that's all we know. But nobody gets to the bottom of why do men feel this way that they have to go and do this? And maybe that's just their natural being. But as a man, you still have to learn to discipline yourself, and you can't run with it just because that's how you feel. I might feel like killing somebody. That don't mean I won't go to jail. And it's repercussions. So once you understand how to love yourself and understand karma doesn't always come back in the form of a woman cheating on you because you cheated on her. You may have been able to get a position and make more money, or because you cheated, you tricked yourself out of a position that you just didn't know what to come about. So it's necessary.
I don't necessarily agree that there's a natural order to men or women being monogamous or polyamorous or polygamous or whatever. I do think that that's a social construct. But at the end of the day, it is about the responsibility that you hold when you know you're going to have sex with somebody. What's going to come out of that, right? And in that, a lot of the time, it is children, right? And are you going to be able to take care of that child? Are you subjecting another human to some harm? You know what I'm saying? And in our society right now, we got to think about the danger, especially we in Georgia right now. In my home state, Texas, you got abortion bans. And what does that mean for that woman now to make that decision for herself, to be able to make that decision for herself, to be able to care for herself and that child? So I do want to go back a little bit to when we're thinking about trusting Black women and the origins around the abortion bans and painting black women as more prone to whatever, like justifying abortion bans by our behavior.
I hate to say it, but I'm for abortions if a woman believes that that's the right thing because it's her body.
Why do you hate to say that? I think that's
I thought we all was agreeing. The other standpoint of people saying like you're killing something, this thing doesn't have a thought process, and we're going straight to the embryo, the baby, and not worrying about the carrier.
Right.
By thinking like, nah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Everybody's not making a choice of abortion based off of the fact I don't want to do this or I was being irresponsible.
I respect that actually, because we in the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
You from Atlanta, I'm from Texas. A lot of the conversation around abortion usually comes from this perspective of Christianity and murder and abortion equaling murder. And for me, this being coming from, I got a master's degree in adult and higher education and in human relations. And I learned a lot about how the abolitionist movement got hijacked by the abortion movement. So a lot of them started taking different symbols in history from the abolition of slavery and literally started making black folks buy into these anti-abortion type shits. Monica was talking about how there was this very popularized notion that the most dangerous place for a black baby is in the womb. And a lot of folks pick that shit up. So right now, as consciously, and I've been around a lot of other conscious folks, a lot of people still believe that, you know, the biggest threat to black babies is abortion. And it's like, hey, where that came from. And I think it's important to talk about reading history. It's like, hey, when you do the genealogy and you start connecting the dots, it was a white person that wants your black ass to still be on the plantation. And or feel like you should never be reminded of that. They the one that gave you this. So a lot of times we think about abortion, especially down south, where that Mason-Dixon line. We all thinking about it in terms of, but it's murder. It's like, motherfucker, to me, it's like the down south, there is a disconnect between policy and how we have infrastructure in terms of, okay, the baby out now. I was born on food stamps and HUD. If I didn't have food stamps and HUD, consciously would not be here. So in Georgia or Texas, you want to take that away. You're forcing people to have children, and you're not giving them any type of resource or opportunity afterwards.
Right.
I would say that is not reproductive justice or freedom, but I also would say that's a part of it. And I think that is the part of things that we forget about when it comes to talk about abortion. It's like, okay, you want to force people to have children. Well, black women died at alarming rates when they have children. Yes. You want to force them to have kids? What unique policy or method do you have to account for this unique thing for women being forced to have children and they dying at alarming rates? You don't have that? Well, I don't think you're really pro-life then. I think you like pro-birth. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's not necessarily, you don't give a damn. And I think that's what we got to grapple with. Like, hey, do not start thumping that goddamn Bible now.
No. Yeah, it's pro-life when it's about birth, but it's not pro-life when it's about
the care after.
The care after, or let's just take pregnancy out there. It's not pro-life when it's about people living in conditions that allow them to thrive. Definitely. It's not pro-life when somebody gets shot by police. It's not pro-life. It's all of a sudden, like, so when we say pro-life,
or school shootings, Palestine,
like, what you know what do we say? Like, pro-life is not about life. Like, what are we talking about? Like, we understand white people are becoming the minority, making these laws. It helps encourage white women to keep having babies so white people can still be white, so white people can still be in power.
All while black women are the most criminalized. It's crazy to me. It's like we have so many policies that's passed throughout this country that is like literally criminalized abortion, which we know, we can say it's a table. All races have abortions, right? We all agree with that, right? We can also acknowledge that black women are disproportionately criminalized for going after said reproductive, you know what I'm saying, freedom and justice. So it's like there's still something unique about black women, and this is why I'm at the table. I wore a short. I wore this shirt. I'm in Houston. I wore a shirt. It say "Trust Black Women." A nigga tried to play me, and it pissed me off, and it's on my mind right now. So I wanted this. He said, "What about the women that lie? What about the black women that lie?" So I had to just propose it to him, like, "Hey, fam, if I told you trust all black people, and your response is, what about the niggas that lie? Would you see the obvious issue in that?"
Right.
What do you say?
Kinda. So I was able to be from the doubt. But the fact he said kinda let me know, like, yeah, bro, so you're trying to use the worst example of a woman to say this is why we shouldn't trust women. It's the same exact thing that white folks do. Let me find the worst example of a nigga and say this is why we shouldn't trust niggas. It's like, if you do that with trust women, you're acting like a white supremacist.
You're good.
So I want to just put that in there, how folks don't even say that.
Luke, can I ask you a question real quick? So and I don't mean to put you on the spot. So a lot of what we've been talking about has been like pro-abortion, and sometimes like people who you did acknowledge that you were adopted. Sometimes that's like a very touchy subject with people who are, and like there's somebody, I mean, literally you have a craft to touch so many people. So, I mean, it's something that you know what I'm trying to say. If your mother had chose that, you know, so like, how does that put you in like a weird position of how you view abortion?
Absolutely. Yes. But also, I'm still whatever she needs. I'm still that type of person. Obviously, I don't want to be aborted, right? But also, I'm not the one having the baby. I'm not the one having this life or death experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just is. I watched my girl have my child. It was beautiful, but it was the most scariest shit I've ever experienced in my life to this day. I can't fathom what she was thinking about in this moment as I'm sitting here trying to be supportive, trying to just be present, trying to, in my mind, decide if I'm gonna watch her or am I not gonna watch her? Am I gonna, all the things, because this once in a lifetime, this is my first child. Do I wanna see her or do I wanna turn my head? It's like all these, and that's bullshit. Because what it came to was, no, I'm be present. Yes. Get out of your head, man, fuck all that. Be present right here with her right now, with her and your child. Because when she stops breathing, he stops breathing. You understand? So right now, all this is, none of what you think about means nothing. Right now is everything about her.
Okay.
Right? So
I also wanna bring in that, abortion is about being able to control your body. Like you were saying that earlier, the government shouldn't have any choice in that. It's when we're talking about someone birthing a child or not, right? And having that choice to do so, I want to take it back to when we were talking about the accountability around that, the ability to raise that child, the ability to protect your partner, the ability to protect that child doesn't just fall with the partner, and it doesn't just fall with the mama. It's the community and the environment around them to be able to parent somebody. It's the community and healthy resources around them, right? And how are we going to foster that? So when you're forced to have a kid, when you're forced to make a decision that you don't want to necessarily, right? You're not able to build the power of that community in the way that it should be. You're setting that, it's abusive, right? You're saying that you have to come to whatever, like you said, they trying to cancel federal benefits, they trying to cancel any type of resource to help yourself. You're putting them in a position where they have to have an environment that's not going to be the healthiest, that's not going to build the most power, and so many people are going to have to take up that responsibility and that harm in that society, in that village, in that community. So while it is very much about like you and your partner's decision and who you have sex with, that is a question around discipline and responsibility. I think we disconnected a lot of the time from all of the other people who are going to be affected and can actually foster that strong environment for that kid, or the decision to not have that kid, right?
When you talk about bodily autonomy, it's I think when we think about abortion, we're only thinking about getting rid of a kid.
Right.
Like a lot of times, abortion is necessary to keep the mom from dying, right? Yeah. And it's because the child is not even viable, and that's what the government is trying to control when they say things like a total abortion ban, where in cases of rape, incest, or in cases of extreme like some health issue where there's going to be an issue or the mom's survival is at risk, then nothing should be allowed. So in that case, then you lose a child and then you lose the mom as well.
I've always hated any part of this aspect of this world, of this life, where we got to entertain somebody else's point of view of what I'm gonna do with my body or what a woman's gonna do with her body to keep herself alive. Right. God brought us here, so naturally I got the right to fight.
Yes.
So whatever I gotta do, I'm gonna do. But now somebody telling me to live here, you gotta let me tell you whether you can fight or not fight. It ultimately, but ultimately, this entire situation doesn't care if you live or die.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not you. You feel me? Like it will. Let's say we all go along with this shit of like no abortion. All right, you got it. No abortion type shit or whatever. But somebody's going to get abortion if they got enough money, if they got the right skin tone, if they got the right people that love them, right? But black people, it's just like I hate that we got to constantly go through this, entertain this bullshit because at the end of the day, fuck them. Yeah. You know, I just wish we could get past this stupid shit. Yeah.
It's
boring.
You can afford the privacy. You can afford other means. If you're compromising the doctor's decision to make decisions about what to do during birth, you're compromising the community's decision.
Yes.
You compromising so many people's decision about what to do with their resources and their bodies by compromising this woman's and abusing the power over this woman's decision to do with what she needs to do with her body.
But that upholds doing that upholds patriarchy.
Yeah.
Which who said abolition? You were talking about abolition, abolitionist movement. Like sorry, I'm about to go in 30 different directions. Bring it back. Bring it back.
We here.
Every civil right that ever existed started with abolition of black people. Because if you free black people, that means you got to free everybody.
Come on.
Right?
Of slavery.
Of slavery. Well, slavery is more, the abolition of slavery is not just about people working in fields. It is about white men being able to rape black women and to make property to have more slaves. 100%. That is what to be about abolition means, to be about the body autonomy of black women.
Come on.
Period.
Come on.
Period.
Come on.
So, period. And what we're fighting against naturally is that we're all the descendants of survivors.
Yes.
I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah.
We are the descendants of survivors. Self-preservation is in our blood. It's in our DNA. Yeah. So to go against self-preservation is technically to be insane.
Absolutely.
Technically. So what we're fighting is, okay, we are a people that are resilient, and our ability to endure is what has kept us going. But that can't quite work anymore if we want what we say we want.
For sure.
So I guess my question is, and we're not gonna figure it out right here at this table, right? And understanding that it's a destination. I'm sorry, it's not a destination; it's a journey. Understanding that it's a process. It's a planting a seed under which the tree will never maybe sit. Right, but it's but we eating fruit off of trees that we didn't plant.
Right.
And so how do we keep that going? How do we keep the ball in the air? How do we take this dialogue that we've had here, even the hard parts of it, and go, you know what? 30 days from now, he was right. And that's all that matters sometimes, right? It's it doesn't matter, he couldn't admit in this moment, but okay, I planted the seed. The seed was planted. How do we keep nurturing that? How do we keep this going outside of this, right? And how do we? It's so hard.
I think we got to make patriarchy look not attractive.
Yes.
I think that right now our community is experiencing a red pill pipeline, a conservative alt-right pipeline that's really, really appealing to a lot of young black boys.
Yeah.
And I think that because they catching these, you know what I'm saying, boys, say 12, 13, 14, patriarchy and misogyny and sexism, that shit is really it turned them on.
Yes.
So by the time they get to our age, we seen as some simping, lame ass panderers.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So the issue is that we're not being intentional in this conversation with how to get them young boys. For sure. Focusing on our career.
For sure.
Them incel niggas, the men that's patriarchs, that's into, you feel me, that's them, they really trying to be intentional about getting the young boys. So I'm thinking about
they agree.
Exactly.
Past the racism to get because it's wild because you think okay, these people you're talking about the alt-right pipeline, a lot of the people that have the podcast and they're the loudest voices right now, mostly cis white men, and they're looking past the racism and they're attracted to the patriarchy because it means power and domination.
What does that mean, real quick? Just because I love that everybody's talking about patriarchy and using the words, but what does that mean? Because I think what are the alt-right appealing to that makes people? Because they're not saying, hey, come to the patriarchy. Everybody, it's great over here. You get what I'm saying?
You
want to
be
a
real man. Let me tell you what a real man is. Powerful, dominate. I'm gonna make more money than you. I'm gonna be able to control, and it's essentially that.
Man of the house, he makes the decisions. The woman sits there and listens. Ain't only two places in the world for a woman: in the kitchen and the bedroom. Type mindset, that stupid shit.
So, sorry, I grew around a lot of poor white people, working class white folks, who, when Trump was coming in, I saw this coming a mile away. Because for them, there's a box that everybody gets to check in order to progress. Black people can check a box and progress a little bit. Queer people can check a box and progress a little bit, but there's no box for white people. And you're telling me I have a privilege that I've never seen before. That's their.
You telling me I progressed?
So it's like, but everyone else is having power. I gotta maintain power because it's about power. So how do we either destabilize the ideology around power, or how do we shift?
It's things like this. It's owning our, I guess if you can, our patriarchy, and redesigning what that looks like, right? Redesigning, like say myself as an artist. I'm a true believer in absolute love. You know what I mean? That's my focus. I'm like Lionel Richie. That's where I get my shit from, right? You know, but I mean, like I do believe that is my purpose, right? To instill passion and romance and connection. And that's my way in doing that, rather than a space of whereas I get everybody's story is different. I've got that story too, but the thing I want to celebrate, the thing I would love for someone, a young man, whoever at my age when I first heard D'Angelo, to take from me is that what I took from D'Angelo was love and connection. What is groundedness in spirituality, your indigenous history, just the overwhelming consciousness of your surroundings, your upbringing, chicken grease, and what you grew up in, the feeling of home, or your grandma, and understanding what the devil gives gifts to. You know, all of those things I got from certain beings that showed me a different idea of a man.
Right.
And he was sexualized. Obviously, that's why he disappeared and all of those things, right? But I mean, it's like using your tool, your gift, in order to shift. It's like we can sit and talk about all them dudes doing what they're doing, but they're doing it. It's happening right now in real time, and they're gathering motherfuckers as we speak. And those kids, they're speaking to those kids at that age, because those kids at that age are most susceptible, like I was when that music came to me, right? And they're horny as fuck. And you're talking about taking pussy. You're talking about getting it. You're talking about this is how I get it. This is how I get out of here. You're talking about all of the things that enables them to be a dirt bag. Right. And doesn't allow them to have a successful life where love is inside. And so therefore, when they do meet the one, they don't know they met the one. And then when they do come up to a situation where they're about to be a father, they don't know what the fuck to do. And they turn into the wrong motherfuckers and listening to the wrong people, and they're not listening to her. They don't care. They just see her as the object of holding the nuisance that's holding my baby that didn't get rid of it, or whatever the fuck, you know. So it's like I think it's just more of this, and more of us standing on business and what our beliefs are, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, piggybacking off of what everybody's saying, patriarchy is necessary. And the only reason why I said it's necessary is it helps keep their agenda going. After so long, we always start to figure things out. But now I got to change the glitch, because if I don't change the glitch, too many people are going to catch on to the cycle and start to pivot. And then you're going to start coming together. But as long as I change it and I learn how to change it, me coming out of the music industry, you know, I came up doing what I thought was the way of success for a black man. Until I had started understanding, I started losing in the music game when I started giving a fuck about business, because now I got kids to feed. So it's not making sense that I'm looking good with a diamond chain, bust down, driving a car that ain't even mine. So let's make it make sense so I can start. And that's when I had to really start understanding how purpose worked, because I had to understand these music business and these labels are not driven off of the music that we make. There's called passive and residual income. They're invested in prisons, they're invested in pharmaceuticals. It's necessary that they push and give people like NBA Youngboy the chains and the gleam and the money that they give them, because that's how we get the horny little brothers that we get to start early into going out the wrong way to where we don't trust black women. Because we're saying, what was that you were saying earlier, what Future say?
I tell the truth to my nigga, I lie to my bitch.
It's not supposed to be like that. We don't understand that these women are gods, but it's necessary that they had to set up like this. And that's why I feel like they're doing it in a smooth way of doing it, how they push in the patriarchy, because it's necessary to keep their agenda going, because it's too late by the time we end up like Clinton, just figuring out. And by that time you be like, damn, I done already lived half my life. Why am I just now figuring this out? But it was necessary to happen to keep the family
What the fuck you over?
not let us grow.
I want to play you
I
out.
think this is incredible, and I wish I could have these conversations with y'all every day. But I do think that a large thing with that we can close out and thinking about, because patriarchy, I think the biggest problem is that it centers men as the most powerful thing in existence that should be centered, and it teaches us, I think, the wrong definition of power.
Yes.
And it makes us center decisions that don't factor in the health of women, don't factor in the health of children, don't factor in the health of the community. And it makes us while we're looking at these men that are abusing their power and thinking that that's what power is, we don't realize they're making the whole community less healthy, that they're endangering other people and they're making themselves less powerful. And so I think one thing that we really want to emphasize here is that trust black women is really about trusting the most powerful being. You get what I'm saying?
Straight up.
Trusting the center of life, the center of power building, the center of care, the center of health, right? Yes. We want to make sure that women are able to make black women especially, are able to make their own decisions about their bodies. And that is what makes our community the healthiest it could be and the most powerful it could be. That's what makes men the most powerful that they can be, right? And when we disconnect our decisions from that, we disconnect ourselves from our power, right? So I think, I've learned from everything that y'all was saying today. Y'all baby got me hyped up, got my goose pimples on my shit. I was sweating under my pits a little bit for a second. You know what I mean? But I learned so much, and I think that this is the most important thing that we could do, is have these conversations on a consistent basis where we're holding each other accountable and saying shit like, well, you saying don't be a bitch, what do that mean, right? You know what I'm saying? What do you mean by that? Yeah, what do you mean by that? When you talking about your power, when you talking about the decisions you're making, are you factoring in all of these people? Are you factoring in how it's making us healthier or more powerful in that regard? And listening to folks from all different types of backgrounds and experiences, ages, you know what I'm saying? I think is the most important thing, to center that power strategy, right? And that power building for our communities, and make us the healthiest and most powerful that we could be, so we could go and do the shit that we need to do.